Mornings have a rhythm. You can hear it, feel it. And at Quaker, we fuel it. With 100% whole grain oats and a good source of fiber in every bowl, helping you turn that rhythm into your soundtrack for a great day. Fuel to start whatever's next. Quaker, official sponsor of FIFA World Cup 26.
Let's go! Let's go!
Study and play come together on a Windows 11 PC. And for a limited time, college students get the best
Of both worlds.
Get the Unreal College Deal. Everything you need to study and play with select Windows 11 PCs. Eligible students get a year of Microsoft 365 Premium and a year of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with a custom color Xbox wireless controller. Learn more at windows.com/student offer. While supplies last. Ends June 30th. Terms at aka.ms/collegepc.
When you finally find your thing, you want the whole world to know about that thing. So you use a thing called Canva to make it an even bigger and better thing. Whether you want to create flyers for that thing, make presentations for that thing, or design merch for that thing, you can do anything. So people can see your thing, feel your thing, love your thing. The next thing you know, it's a thing. Canva, the thing that makes anything a thing.
A Bovril on a cold, wet, windswept terrace used to be the height of luxury as a kid watching sport. Things have fortunately changed for me and my family, as they have for many sports fans who want to see world-class sport in comfort and safety. I'm John.
And I'm Michael, and this is Anything But Footy's Great Bosses. Yeah, we've put a slight twist in it. We know that John is struggling to get tickets for the Games of Los Angeles 2028. But we also know there are other ways of guaranteeing some of the best seats in the house at the Olympics, the Paralympics, and other major sporting events.
I'm Paul Caine. I'm the president of On Location.
So, Paul, what is On Location, and why are you on a podcast talking about the Olympic and the Paralympic Games specifically?
So On Location is the world's leading provider of hospitality and experiences for the world's largest events. So what does that mean, right? Hospitality, people think about hospitality and they think about food, or they think about, some level of like what happens in the venue and how does that work? Like, where's my seat and the kitchen behind me kind of thing, like a suite. On Location is way more than that. So the way we look at the world of sports and entertainment, because we're in music as well, is people have a choice of how they want to go to an event. They could buy a ticket, and from what we see, a ticket is basically a permission to sit in a seat. That's all it is. It's an admission ticket, right? It gets you into the venue. What we do is we develop experiences for our customers so that they can get closer than they could ever get before to the event that they're going to. And with that comes everything around the world of experiences. So it's how you enter, what concierge attention you have, what's your transportation look like, what's your accommodations, where are you sitting? Of course, food is a component to it, but it's also what else are you doing around the event? What kind of experiences are you having? Who are you hanging out with? Are you meeting anybody? Are you getting exclusive merchandising? What kind of, how do we ladder this up so that you're doing more than just going to the Olympics, you're experiencing the Olympics? And the best way we explain it to people is it's like, and people understand this because they do it all the time. It's like an airline. If I'm going to go from, let's say, the UK to New York, I know I can go straight from Heathrow to JFK. It'll take me, depending on time and everything like that, it takes me about 5-6 hours to do that. No matter where I sit in the plane, that's the amount of time it takes me. Sitting in economy, cheapest ticket, medium price ticket, that's a permission to sit in a seat to go from Heathrow to JFK. That's a ticket. But if you want economy plus, business class, first class, or even flying private, you're not cutting the amount of time that it takes you to get from Heathrow to JFK, but it does change your experience. It changes when you board, changes your luggage, It changes what you get on the plane. It changes the way you can move your ticket around if you need it to be. It changes the lounge you sit in. It changes lots of things. It even changes your TSA approach. All of that becomes a change of your experience, not necessarily your flight. And that's what On Location does. We do that for the world of sports. We do that for the world of entertainment. And we're going to do that for the LA 28 Olympics.
Because in the UK, we keep talking about the fact these Olympic Games are going to be a Hollywood Olympics. And it sounds to me like you're describing a Hollywood-style experience. Am I going to find myself sat next to Tom Cruise at these games because I go with you?
Well, when it comes to the Olympics, certainly that may be on the table. And this is our third Olympic game. So we started in Paris. We just completed Milan. We have LA 28 coming up next. And for all three games, we had a similar approach. Now, for every game and for every event we do, we build them for the culture of the event itself. And the Olympic movement has a distinct culture. But we also take into account the host city. So in Paris, it was really about the sights. It was about the food. It was about transportation, knowing the challenges of getting around Paris. And it was all about, like, how do I experience the games so that I could feel the French culture and feel the Olympic movement in the most profound way. In Milan, we had a similar type of approach, but of course it was laid into the Winter Games, which is very different, in Milan. And also Milan was really broken up into three major cities and really six overall. So it was a logistically challenging event that way, but each of the different locations had a different culture. If you were in the Alps and the Dolomites, how did you feel about that? What did you want? How was the experience of getting up the mountain, seeing the event? Who was I with? If I was in the gold medal hockey, what was I experiencing there in the middle of Santa Giulia? And how was I incorporating Milanese food and culture and seeing if I went to go see the Last Supper or the Duomo, and how did that all fit in, right? So you're right. LA is, I wouldn't call it the Hollywood Olympics. I would say it is LA because LA has a lot of cultures attached to it. Of course, Hollywood is a big part of the culture, but they have a big food culture, surfing. They have art. They've got fashion. They've got history. There's a lot of culture that centers into the LA world that is going to come through on the experience. But it also is an incredible environment for hospitality, meaning great hotels, the need for transportation, because as you can imagine, LA transportation is tricky. So having that thought through and working with a partner like On Location to do it is really important. And then, of course, getting closer to the games than you've ever before. So experiences. Whether you can get on the pitch or the court, can you get to meet athletes, can you get deeper into your country, all of that. We are a global company. We're doing the World Cup this summer. We have well over 100 countries represented for the World Cup coming in, and we're entertaining them across the 16 cities that we're working in. And for LA, we're already in dozens of countries that have already secured their inventory coming through us to experience the best of the LA games. So this is one of those things where it's like, hey, if I'm going to go to LA for the Olympics, I want to go with an On Location partner. And why On Location? Well, we're the only official. We are the official. That means we are in part of the LA 28 Olympics. We work with the host committee. We are part of the Olympic movement. We're the only ones with official ticket and hospitality offerings. We're the only one with official hotel offerings that obviously we work with their hotel partners like Airbnb and others as well. But we are the official hospitality partner. So that gives you guaranteed product. It gives you absolutely best access. It gives you absolutely best seating. It gives you absolutely all the things you want to do to make sure that you are confirmed to get your best LA 28 experience.
Paul, you've given us a really good description of how hospitality works. It's not something that many of us probably have had the pleasure of experiencing, but it does feel like more people can get access to it now in the modern world.
Yes, this is a very democratized product. So we've got price points all across the board. So it's not, some people say, oh, well, hospitality, that's only for corporates. It's not. Hospitality is for anybody who wants to experience the game. So we have people buying just a couple of tickets for them and their friends and family. We have big company all the way up to big companies taking large groups of people. We have different price points. You can come through us, and we've got inventory that's about $100 per ticket, and then we've got inventory that's significantly more expensive as well. There's all ways you can approach it. I mean, it really depends on what you want to do. If you want just a ticket, then that's going to be your least expensive option. And LA28 has a lot of those. And they've been really good about providing access all the way down to $28 a ticket. When it comes to an experience, I would set the bar at probably around $350 is the minimum experience. But that's pretty affordable considering what you get for it. And then it ladders up from there.
And you mentioned this is your third Olympics, your second Summer Olympics. Does it develop? Can you look back at Paris and go, actually, we did a good job, but actually we can be better in LA?
100%. We get better with every event that we do. We do over 700 events a year. We work with over 120 rights partners in every side of the globe in all sorts of sports and entertainment. So we have a wide breadth of experience in lots of different ways. But with the Olympic movement, Paris was the first time that the IOC and the Olympics globalized their offering, unified it so it reflected the Olympic brand. It's the first time ever. They also did the first time ever global ticketing option. We learned a lot in Paris, being that was the first for everyone to do those things. We then broadened it further in Milan, which was a great 2 years later opportunity for us to ladder it up. And then, of course, in LA, we're going to be able to build on that experience, but not just the Olympic experience, all the experience that we have, which includes Super Bowls, NCAA Final Fours, every major golf and tennis event, and the World Cup.
We call the Olympic Games the greatest show on earth, and I don't want to put you on the spot and compare and contrast the events and the sports that you work on, but how special is it to be involved in something like an Olympic Games in places that you've mentioned, like Paris and Milan and now Los Angeles? Special cities, special destinations.
I would have to say every event we work on is special because we work on the world's largest events. So whatever that sport or program is, it's really special unto itself. I mean, it's hard to not ignore the value and the incredible aspect of the World Cup, right? That's incredible. The Olympics is really special. The Olympics is, the unification of many sports, right? There's going to be, LA is going to have more sports than ever. I mean, they're bringing in flag football and cricket and so many others. So it's unification of so many sports. In fact, they have a World Cup in the middle of the Olympics, if you think about it that way. So the Olympics is huge. It's 16 days. It's one city. And in LA's version, it's, about 48 venues. So you're talking about a massive, immersive cultural experience. The beautiful thing about the Olympics is it does bring together people from over 205 territories and countries around the world. You're bringing all sorts of cultures together. It's the one time the Olympic creed where everybody declares theoretical peace in order to come together in competition of sport, and it really is a very moving experience from the opening ceremony, all the competitions, all the way to the closing ceremony. And I love watching the athletes, how the camaraderie amongst the athletes with cross borders, cross countries, competitors, even opponents. But they live without conflict. They live with sport. It's beautiful. And that's why if you've never been to an Olympics, you should go, because it's like no other event in that type of cultural feeling. And anytime I ever talk to someone who's been to their first Olympics, they're blown away and hooked. Like they can't imagine not going to an Olympics after that.
Yeah, I love the phrase theoretical peace. I think that's very apt for the moment. John and I have been fortunate enough to go to many summer and winter games in our jobs. I presume you're an Olympics fan, a sports fan? Is there anything in LA that you're particularly looking forward to? Would you tell those of us in the UK that we must come and experience?
Well, it's hard to pick anything as the best, but if I think about the Olympics, I always think like you really want to be at one of the ceremonies, either opening or closing ceremony, and you want to plan your time anchored in one of those because those are big cultural moments of unification, and you really get the sense of Olympic spirit there. But depending on when you're going to attend, because there's so many great venues in sports, of course, swimming, athletics, are going to be, and equestrian are unique and really big opportunities. But I also love going to the sports that are unique to the Olympics that you don't normally get to go see any other time. Whether it's badminton, I think flag football is going to be incredibly exciting in this Olympics, being that it's its debut. It's football, and as American football is growing in popularity around the globe. So there's a lot up there that I think is going to be amazing. But I wouldn't ignore going to Oklahoma and seeing softball and canoeing. I mean, I would immerse myself in everything that I could, whether it's big or small, in order to kind of see and feel things that I wouldn't already see. But I would never ignore the big spectacle. Having swimming in SoFi, big stadium, gorgeous stadium, having a pool in the middle of it, that's going to be incredible. And to me, that's part of what the Olympics is all about.
Paul, I was going to ask about swimming. Do you think it's going to change the fact that it's second week? Because we've got athletics first week and track and field in an American case, and then swimming second week. That's very different from the Olympics that we've grown up with.
It is really different. But I would also say for those that are real big Olympic fans, they know the subtle nuance of that. For those, there are a lot of people that would be like, it was never always the second week. Everyone has a different interpretation. They just know it happens at the Olympics. They don't know exactly what the traditional schedules are. But I do feel like there's opportunity here that is going to, that are going to be really special moments. So I wouldn't put much credit into the scheduling. I'd put more credit into what I want to do for the time I'm there. Very few people stay for the full 16 days. Typically, people are 3-4 days. And so you plan the block of time that works best for you. And often you anchor it in a sport you're most interested in. So if swimming is your sport, you're going to find yourself in the second week. If you are interested in athletics, you're going to be in the first week. And but there's so many sports happening at one time that I think you're going to get real great benefit from it.
Michael asked you what your tip was to watch in LA. Can I reverse it slightly and say, what's your best Olympic memory? Maybe that was Paris or Milan. Is there something that you look back on now and go, okay, that was the moment?
The moment? There's so many moments. Sitting underneath the Eiffel Tower at night watching the women's sand volleyball, beach volleyball.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. Fencing was incredible. Those are the moments. Like, I think the story of Paris was the setting, and I think that was incredible. In Milan, it was the moment. I wouldn't say the setting was really dramatic. Seeing Canada and US in the men's hockey finals was extraordinary, and that was an incredible event. I also really enjoyed speed skating. There were so many great stories that came out of that I thought were really unique. And of course, figure skating was a big story as well. And that was kind of a blown away. I found myself going back and again to figure skating because I was just, you don't get to see that very often. And I just thought that was extraordinary. So that was that. In this Olympics, that opening ceremony, I think is going to be one of the most extraordinary opening ceremonies of all time.
I hope there's going to be a spaceman like there was in 1984 and Gershwin on the white pianos and Lionel Richie. I mean, I would just repeat what they did back then personally, but I am an opening ceremony geek. My favorite moment of every games is that moment just before the ceremony starts when you can hear the helicopter buzzing overhead. And for me, at that point, everything and anything is possible. I think one of the big successes of Paris and as well Milan and Cortina was the fact that a lot of the sports were brought to the people, certainly in Paris with that urban park at Place de la Concorde. Will that be the same with Los Angeles, with it being a bit more of a sprawling metropolis?
Well, they've announced all the site plans, so you can go see it. And there's some of them are going to be sprawling. There's basically 3 zones, but in some areas there'll be a concentration of multiple sports, and then in others there's going to be some distance between them. The unique aspect of that urban park was such a good interpretation of taking 3 to 4 simultaneous sports, depending on the day, put them into one location under an extraordinary location. That was really special. I think, with every Olympics, there's never a repeat of what was done before. I mean, look, the London Olympics is legendary in terms of locations and the way it really brought the city to life. And people really, still hold that as one of the best Olympics of all time. But, you always have to remember you're taking the Olympics and expressing it in the city. And the best Olympics are ones that take and use the backdrop and the best parts of the city and bring that to life within the Olympic movement.
Final question from me then, building on that, is that the UK government have said that they are going to look at trying to host the Olympics and the Paralympics again in the 2040s, but they've said it won't be London. It would be in the north of England, so cities like Manchester, Newcastle, Birmingham, Leeds and Sheffield, for example.
Right.
In your business, do you think that would be a harder sell in terms of sports tourism? Would it be easier to get people to pay for big packages in London? Could you get them to Birmingham and Manchester and the others?
I love when countries want to do that, because it does bring a level of awareness and love and passion and tourism to an area post the games that wasn't there before. And being a fan of Northern England, I can understand why people would want to do that, because it's such a wonderful part of the country to go see. And to just do London again may feel like a retread and a comparative versus something new. What it always does, though, is when you're not in a large city with tons of hotels and restaurants and all that, it creates a level of logistics issues that make it challenging. Like what we saw in the Dolomites is fewer hotels, single lane roads, made it harder for people to experience the games than they would have wanted to do before. But the one thing I love about the Olympics is great host cities do an amazing job of thinking all those things through. If the UK felt it was best in Northern England, I would be excited about that, because knowing the UK does everything really, really well when it comes to things like that. But obviously it's a good decision upon the IOC, not mine. And they'll come up with whatever it is. I know there's a lot of competition, a lot of interest around the globe to host, and I think they do a really good job of picking not only regions and countries, but also locations within countries to come to life. Look, Brisbane is not, they already had it in Sydney. They're moving into Brisbane. Brisbane is not as big as Sydney. It's a different logistics country, but working with that organizing committee and knowing what their vision is, I think it's going to be extraordinary.
Well, we could talk all day about the Olympics, but we will let you go. Paul, just very quickly, how do people, if they're interested in looking at the hospitality for LA, how do they get in touch with you?
So you can go on our website, onlocationexp.com, and there's a link there to the LA28 hospitality products right on there. Of course, if you go through the LA28 ticketing portal, you'll get to the same place.
And I love the fact that it's not just me and Michael that still think London 2012 was pretty good. So thank you for telling us that the world still looks back at London and remembers that. Paul Caine from On Location, thank you so much for talking to Anything But Footy.
It was a real pleasure. Thanks for having me.